Good Zimmer. Rabbi Yossi, it's unbelievable. It's a big Kiddush Hashem to see so many people. Literally, I don't think there's a seat left in the house. Motzei Tisha B'Av, people after a fast, after the headaches, and it's unbelievable. Torah every day. We had a shiur here on Shabbos, also 50, 60 people. And I'm repeating that shiur. Whoever wasn't there, I'm repeating it after this shiur. So first we're starting with Daf Yud Aleph, today's Daf. And then we are going to move on and repeat Daf Yud. So today's shiur is Lili Nishmasimi Mirosi Ruspas Mardachai. And by Netanel Cohen, to my daughter, Maayan Cohen, who becomes bat mitzvah today. Tisha B'Av. May she continue to grow in derech, hatorah, and be a role model for Klal Israel. Dedicating also to Rav Eli and the MDY crew. And Yossi Klein for the free Yuma Guemara. Here's a person that got a free Gemara and joined the shiur for that free Gemara. So it's a beautiful idea to give Gemaras. If you will stick around for Daf Yud was sponsored by Dr. Epstein. Lili Nishmas, his wife Rita, was my neighbor only a short year ago, and he donated $2,500 to the new Gemaras. Yacov and Malka Slatus. Refuah Shlema for our son, Alta Yeshaya ben Malka Chaya. Yacov Slatus. I said Slatus. And by Michael Benmeleh, in memory of his mother Devora, he's the parents of Devora Faige about Shmuel and father Menachem, Mendel, Elchanan, and the merit to make it to Uman Rosh this year. All right. Is there another one tonight? Oh, and Refuah Shlema for Yosef ben Sarah. Happy birthday, anonymous member. We don't know who, we don't know how old they are, we don't know if they exist, but happy birthday. They know if they are, if they don't. If you see anybody walking around with a little extra step in their walk, it's them. This is by Dean Furman. Hi. I've really enjoyed your class on Daf since I heard about you in the class on the Meaningful People podcast. Proper Geschmack. He says Geschmack here. I'm part of the Daf Yomi in Johannesburg, South Africa. We're full morning 9 to 1 learning the Daf and enjoy reviewing the Daf by watching the video at the end of each day. Your visual stories and jokes make the Daf come alive. Not only is the way you teach awesome, but the way that you have created a community of chevra that has so much achdus. My great friend and neighbor, Antonino, his dad is Italian, is making Aliyah from South Africa in 2 weeks. He's moving to Ramat Shemesh. I told him about the amazing sharing community, and he's super keen to join and learn with you in person. I hope there is space. Well, I am leaving tomorrow night. By the way, I don't know if there's a record, but I'm giving 4 shiurim in 23 hours. 2 right now, 1 tomorrow morning, and 1 tomorrow evening. So, and then, Yosef, you'll get to sleep when I leave. You'll all get to sleep, Be'ezer Hashem, for a very long time. I told him about the amazing kindness that you have done for one another, and the fact that he's making Aliyah, and he knows very few people in Eretz Yisrael, and will begin searching for a job. We'll just hook him up with Yeshua and price, and he'll have friends, and everything will be great. He'll be in great need of amazing warmth, friendship, welcoming environment. I'm sure that learning the Daf with you will bring him much bracha. Can he join in-person shiur when he arrives? He can, but I'm not going to be here. If yes, can I put him in touch so he gets introduced to the Chevra, keep the great work? Dean Furman. You are looking? Why? Mati Middeldorf says he's looking forward to me leaving because now he's going to be able to go on Zoom and he's going to be able to reunite with the guys on Zoom. Okay? That's a nice way of saying, I can't wait till you leave. Dear Rav Eli, I have proof that your shiur is my lifeblood that infuses chiyus into my avodas Hashem and my day. I am a morning person and living in New York, the live shiur in Zoom isn't l'chatchila, but I jump out of bed each morning mit a bren to listen to your shiur on all daf at about 6:15 a.m. before I daven shachris. There are unfortunately some days when the site, as well as Torah Anytime, does not yet have the shiur posted. And although I listen to another prominent and excellent Maggid shiur, it doesn't have nearly the same vitality and definitely does not hold my concentration like you manage to do each morning. These mornings are clearly not the same. There's some, you see? So he says that if you don't post it on time, he's going to go to the other Maggid shiur. It's terrible. These mornings are clearly not the same. If there's something I can do financially to help this issue, maybe if you give Yosef a little bit more money, he's not getting paid enough. Why would he do it? But every time you post it earlier, you get a bonus. And listen, try it out. If it actually works, I'm going to fire him. What kind of chutz is this? Because of money, he doesn't do it? It will be my schos. Thanks to you and your incredible team. The video editing is unbelievable and much appreciated. Love. Someone does not want his name read. I don't know if you noticed, like anytime Nachman Seltzer says something in Shir, not every time. Somebody sent me a clip when he was arguing the Chavetz Chaim. So there's a little Nachman Seltzer with a microphone, and he goes sideways, and he comes out. It's pretty cool. And then somebody said, "What kind of shtus is this? This is a serious shir. How can you have these things?" You can never win. You can never win. Do I have time for more? It's not even a shtus. Oh, it's 8:12 already. 10:12. All right, it's already midnight. Let's go weiter. Rabbi says, does anybody know what happened to Joel Pollack? Did he have a kid? Because this is him learning in the delivery room. You see his Gemara right over here. What did he have? Is it's his birthday also? Like everything's anonymous tonight? Okay, fine. Tomorrow morning we'll find out what he had. We don't know yet. And okay, we'll show this picture next year. So if you're just tuning in now and you want to see your picture with your son, tune into the next year. Okay, here we go. We are holding Daf Yud Aleph Amud Aleph. We are 10 Daf into the Succah, all the way on the top. We have a second lashon. So first we had Shmuel Aleph and now Shmuel Beis. Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel. What do we have yesterday? That if a kila has a roof, it has to be less than 10 tfachim. So now we're saying something completely different. They might not argue with each other. They're just saying something different. You're allowed to sleep in a kilas chasanim in a sukkah lefisha ein lo gag. Something like this that doesn't have a tefach on top, so it's not a noyel. So since it doesn't have a tefach, it can be more than 10 tefachim also. What about this part on an angle? That's not considered a gag. That's all part of the wall, and the wall it doesn't count for a noyel. Meisvei hayashim bekilo basukah. So, and yesterday we said that if it does have a gag, Shmuel said if it does have a gag, it does have a tefach, it has to be less than 10 tefachim. Question is hayashim bekilo basukah. It says that if you sleep in one of these, you're not yaitza. So what do? If it has a roof, it has a tefach, then you can't sleep in it. Tashma. Naklitin shnayim b'kinoifos arba. Again, that we learned yesterday. There's a difference if it has 2 posts and you put a sheet on the 2 posts. There's 2 posts and a rod that connects the 2 posts and you put a sheet so it doesn't have a tefach gag. Or Heiras al gabe kinoifos. Kinoifos is 4. Kinoifos arba. Heiras al gabe kinoifos psulos. If you do it on top of the 4, it's possible. Al gabe naklitin sheira. But what does it say? Ubavad shelo yu naklitin gevayim and amita asar tefachim. It says that the 2-post one cannot be more than 10 tefachim. Hagvayim and amita asar psula. We just learned that Shmuel says since it doesn't have a roof, it could be even more than 10 tefachim. Over it says mefurish, it cannot be 10 tefachim. Naklitin is different. Naklitin is more of a permanent bed. And therefore, if it's more than 10, it's possible. So then if it's kavua, we said, what do we say about kinoifas? We said yesterday that kinoifas, since it's very permanent, so even if it's less than 10 tfachim, it's possible. So if you're telling me that this naklitin guy is permanent, so it should be like a kinoifas, and even less than tefachim should be also. Why only more than 10 tefachim is possible? Says the Gemara, very interesting. It's nishtahin and nishtaher. Legabi kinoifas loikavi. Legabi kilo kvi. Yes, compared to kinoifas, it's not kavua. But compared to the kilo that we started out the sugi with, it is kavua. What's going on here? So just to make it slightly easier, again, one of these charts, we have the kilo that's not kavua, and therefore it's betzem, it's not possible. We have something called a kinoif that's very, very stationary, very kavua, and very also red. And then we have this thing in between called an aklitin. It's nishtahi nishter. It's a little bit more than the green, a little bit less than the red, and therefore it has different halacha. So what's the halacha? So the kila is not kavua at all. It's a very, very temporary kind of bed. So therefore you need at least 10 tefachim and a tefach. Why to make it asur? You need all the chumras. You need 2 chumras, 10 plus a tefach. This guy, the kinoif, which is very kavua, so you don't even need 10 tefachim. It's asur. But the middle one, aklitin, which is kavua, not kavua, says the Gemara, it's asur without a tefach, but it needs 10 tefachim. It needs to be 10 tefachim. So the kinoif doesn't need to be 10 tefachim because it's very kavua. The naklitin needs to be 10 tefachim. But this guy, the kila, could even have it's only also if it has a tefach and 10 tefachim. All right, Doras Rabba Baravuna. Mutar lishon bekila. Mutar lishon bekila afa pish yesh lo gag. You're allowed to sleep in a kilo, even if it has a roof that's a tefach. Av pish givaya asara. So this is interesting. It has a tefach. It's givaya asara. It's mamish, very, very temporary. And Menachem it's mutar keman ki Rabbi Yehuda. This has to be only according to Rabbi Yehuda. What does Rabbi Yehuda say? You're in oil keva. You're in a sukkah, which is considered kavua. So oil arai, a temporary oil, cannot outdo the oil keva, and therefore you're allowed to sleep in this kila, even though it's 10, even though it has a tevach. This na number of Yehuda. We used to sleep under beds that were 10 tfachim tall in front of the skenim, and nothing happened. So the question is, why does he go through the whole arichas and say, you're allowed to sleep in a kilo, even though it's 10 tfachim, even though that? Just say very simple. I paskin like Rabbi Yehuda. Who's Rabbi Yehuda? Rabbi Yehuda is the one that says that a kilo that's 10 and has a tefach is okay. You're not adding anything. All you're doing is you agree Tatana called Rabbi Yehuda. So just say that. Says the Gemara, that was a situation by the Chachamim that they were underneath a bed. So underneath a bed, since a bed is made to sleep on top of it, so I would say, okay, that kind of structure doesn't ruin anything for somebody that wants to be silly and sleep underneath it. But a kila is meant for this. It's meant to sleep inside. A malay, I would think that's considered a oil and it's no good. That's why he came and said, it's not enough to say Allah is like Rabbi Yehuda. I want to add to Rabbi Yehuda and say, even in a situation of a kila, time of the Rabbi Yehuda, what's the reason of Rabbi Yehuda? Because of the concept that a temporary oil structure cannot ruin a permanent one. And since you're in a sukkah, you have a permanent oil all around. So Mela, you're yaitza even if you sleep underneath a bed, and even if you sleep inside a kilo. The official Mishnah, sponsored by Official, and we learned this, we're familiar with it. You took the vine of the grapes and you put it on top of your sukkah. And on top of that, you put Succah. Hadlas, by the way, Dr. Epstein, you were right. I went on Google, and it is East of Edens in Chicago. That's the name of the place. I couldn't find a good picture. The pictures they had were during the winter. But this is basically what not as nice, but this is what they're trying to do during the summer. You drive by there, they have an outdoor seating area that looks similar to this. Just a bunch of gourds hanging down. So in case you didn't know that, gourds grow. They're like vines. They like to climb. Hidlo es hagefen v'sadlas v'sakisois ivy v'sike chagabo psula. You guys know what ivy is, right? It's bad. Very good, very good. What stadium has ivy? Wrigley Field. That's right. Yeah. Okay. No. Middle. Now I'm gonna get emails in the middle of. Yeah. Lahavdil. V'sike chagabo psula. Jonathan, you're paying attention. The only way, by the way, Uncle Phil was able to do that rhyme, every single day he writes down and you too, I see. Erev Purim. When did you get back? Friday morning, okay. Even Chutz Lars is writing down. Don't. I can already see her Purim. Don't put those vines on your house if you know it's good for you. Shakolye bidvarai. Whatever. Okay. Ayin Erev Purim, you'll see what I'm talking about. Vim haya is Rosh Chodesh Adar. Vim haya sikach harbe mehem. And if there's much more kosher schach than the pasul schach. Now, does anybody remember what we discussed? What's the case? There's a lot of kosher schach, but it has to be chavatan. It has to be intertwined. It has to be embedded inside the schach. Oy sheketzatzon. Oh, ketzatzon. What's ketzatzon? So if we have a picture soon, whatever, we'll get there. If he snipped the vine at the bottom, so now it's no longer mechuber lekarka, so it's kosher, so the schach is kosher. Zeh klal. Here's the rule: kol shu mekabel tuma. If it can receive tuma, vein gedulim min aretz, and it doesn't grow from the ground, ein misachim by. It's no good for schach. V'chol davar she'ein mekabel tuma. But if it's not mekabel tuma, gedulim min aretz, misachim by. You could make schach from it. Yosef Rav Yosef kamei the Rav Huna v'Yosef kamar. Oy sheketzatzim kshera. If you snip it and it's no longer attached to the ground, it's kosher b'amar Rav tzorich l'naneya. So here we have the famous halacha in Masechta Sukkah of tasa v'loy min ha'asui. This halacha applies to other mitzvahs, maybe. It says in the pasuk, Chag ha'sukkah is tasa. This is important. We're going to use this later to teach us. This is how you make schach from these things. But Chag HaSukkah is tasa. What does this teach us? The classic example is hachaytet begadish. If you have a pile of hay, so your walls and your schach already exist, but you can't fit in there. There's no, what's this thing called? There's no, space is very, very Panovichish. There has to be like a good word for this. Void! Who said void? Void. Why don't you come every day, Tzaddik? We need you here. We need you. He's coming. There's no void. So what does he do? He takes a shovel and he creates a hollow void. Is this sukkah kosher? Absolutely not. But it says in the pasuk Chag HaSukkah is tasa. When you make your sukkah, it has to be kosher all along. You can't make a pasul sukkah and then create a hollow void and I have a sukkah. And we're going to see different examples of it. So here's one example that we're talking right now. He had a vine, and the vine went on top of his sukkah, and that was 100% pasul. Then he takes a chainsaw, and he chops the bottom of the tree, and it's no longer attached to the ground. That's tasev leimin asui. The schach was already on top of the sukkah. Before it was kosher, it was 100% pasul, and then he created something to make it kosher. Therefore, says Rav, tzarich l'naneya, I have to lift up the schach, I have to lift it up and put it back down. Now yes, it was pasul, but now I just made it kosher. Just snipping it is not enough. I have to lay down my schach when the schach is kosher. You hear? It's good. I love this conversation here. It's a great conversation. Comes Rav Huna and says, you said it in the name of Rav, Shmuel said it. Hadrina Rav Yosef la'apei. So he turned away from him. He was mad at him. What are you saying? Shmuel, did you hear me say it's not Shmuel? All I said it's Rav. Why are you making me crazy? It's not true. Both of them say it. I said it in the name of Rav. Okay, you heard it in the name of Shmuel. Both of them said it. You misunderstood me. The Shmuel Amar v'loy Rav. The Rav Achshuri Machshir. What I try to tell you is, don't get so mad and turn away from me. I'm trying to tell you that you made a mistake. You flipped it. You said it's in the name of Rav. I'm telling you it's Shmuel, not Rav. Don't tell me it's Shmuel and Rav and you forgot to say Shmuel. You said it, you meant both. I'm telling you it's only Shmuel and not Rav. Rav doesn't hold that you need to lift it up. Why? Because Rav is going to hold that it's enough to snip it. One snip, that's creating it. You don't have to lift it up. Kiha the Rav Amram Chasida. There's a story with Rav Amram Chasidah. Who's Rav Amram Chasidah? So the Gemara in Kedushin, Daf Pei Aleph, tells us a story about Rav Amram Chasidah. Why is it called Rav Amram Chasidah? There were women that were shvuyos. They were captives. And they were able to redeem them. And they needed a place to stay for the first night or whatever. So they said, the best place to put them is by the tzaddik. Let's put them by the chassid, Rav Amram Chasidah. The Gemara says they put them in the attic and they took away the staircase. There shouldn't be a problem with yichud or whatever. Took away the staircase. All of a sudden, Rav Amram Chasidah notices like a shine, like a glow, whatever that means, from one of these shvuyos. And he chapped the taiva and he lifted up the staircase that it took 10 men to lift. He was able, his taiva caused him such like adrenaline. He grabbed it and put it. And he's running up the staircase. And he said to himself, what am I, crazy? But I need to stop myself. So he started screaming, there's a fire, fire! So the whole neighbor came running, including his Talmidim, and they realized that there's no fire, and they realized why he did it. He figured the only way to get out of this is by embarrassing himself, by having other people there. So they said, Rebbe, you're embarrassing us. So he said, it's better that I embarrass you b'olam hazeh than I embarrass you b'olam haba. And the whole ma'iz, he made a shvuah, he was mashbiah zid sahara. Okay, so that's Rav Amram Chasidah saying it because even G'dayla Adar have taivas and they have to come up with some tricks to be nitzal. Okay, so what happened with Rav Amram Chasidah? Ramot Chelta the Parzuma Dinche Beise. He put tzitzis, he held that tzitzis is a mitzvah, I say, Shaloyaz Man Groma, that even women are chayiv in tzitzis. And Benmeleh, he put tzitzis in his wife's begadim. Talon v'lei posak roshi chutin shlohen. He put them in and he did something like this. It's mamash neis, because if I didn't have these pictures, I would have the tzitzis and the whole thing. Tchelis over here means tzitzis. Okay, whatever. Oh, I should put. You mean I should not use this? So what happened was the tchelis is over here somewhere. You can't see it, but he didn't cut this thing over here. There's no cut. He took one string, he folded it over 4 times, put it through, and then he had it. So now he did all the ties, all the knots, as you can see in this. Don't look. It has tchelis over here. He did all the knots. And now the only thing that's missing is that it's one piece. It's 100% not kosher. So what do you do? Also, Rav, here we go again. The same Rav that he said, Rav said Rav holds you have to lift up all the schach. This Rav says, no, you don't have to do anything. All you need to do is take a scissors and snip it. In other words, by snipping it, that is creating it. By cutting the branch, cutting the bottom of the vine, you're creating the schach. That is the creation of the schach. You don't have to lift it up and put it back down. All you need to do is make it kosher. By making something kosher, that's creating it. By snipping the tzitzis, that's creating it. You don't have to undo all the knots and redo them. That's what Rav holds. By cutting the bottom of the vine, you're creating new schach. Okay, great. Now we're going to ask the opposite question. So now we have a chlokes Rav and Shmuel. Rav says, by cutting something on the bottom or cutting the tzitzis, cutting the vine, that's creating it. And Shmuel holds that's not creating it, and that's why I say it's Shmuel that said it, not Rav, and therefore you have to lift up all the schach. It's not enough to cut the vine. But it's not true. Perhaps even Shmuel agrees to Rav that cutting is enough. I think I said it, but because you didn't, there's no Baal Toisiv in Torah. A similar case, but different. What happened? Not the greatest picture, I would say, but if you look closely, you could see this is one string. He took the string, folded over 4 times, put it into one corner, very long, and then put it into the other corner, and continue weiter. They're all attached. The 2 corners are attached. Same story as before, but before it's 1 corner, now it's 2 corners. And then he did snip, snip, snip. He went poop. I guess it's easier, or he was trying to play around with the halacha, see if it works. My love. So you see, who says this? Shmuel says, all you need to do, snip, snip. Snipping is creating tzitzis. So if snipping is creating tzitzis, Shmuel should say the same halacha by Schach, that if you put vines on top of your sukkah and it's 100% possible because mechubel karka, you snip the bottom, now it's not mechubel karka, now it became Schach, it's kosher. So that's Shmuel. So who says it's not good? Who says you have to lift it up? No one. But it doesn't say exactly when he snipped it. We could say perhaps he snipped it without making the knots. What's the problem with that? There's zero chiddush in that. What's the chiddush? I mean, then he did everything great. So that's what the Gemara discusses. My life, misvara means that he did all the knots. He did the 7, the 11, the 13, whatever, the whole thing, like this sheet, like that sheet, whatever it was. And then after he finished everything, he snipped it. Before he did any of the knots, that's when he snipped it all. I asked the Gemara Davi's question. I remember there's zero chiddush. Mao the Sema to Daf Yomi Amud Beis 10 dafin, unbelievable. Binan knav b'shas psil v'leko. The Torah says loshin yachid that we have a knaf. It doesn't say knafos. That you're supposed to put the strings into a knaf. Forget about the knots. Before the whole knots the knot take place, you have to put it into one knaf, not in two. And the fact that you put it into two knafos, that makes it possible, maybe, perhaps. Kamashmal, and that's the whole chiddush. We just turned to Yud Aleph Amud Beis, sponsored by the MDY Tehillim Group. For all those who need shidduchim, refuahs, and yeshuas, please join tehillim.8mindaf.com. When do we start? 10. Oh, okay, we're fine. Wow, nice oilam on Zoom. Shalom Aleichem, guys on Zoom. How many guys are on Zoom? 77 people on Zoom. They're all waving. I see David Hochazer. That's the only one I noticed because he has a beard. What? Victor Fold. Okay, Shalom Aleichem, the ganze oilam. Telling you, Mamshi Kiddush Hashem. Kiddush Hashem. Think about before you're doing Daf Yomi, what were you doing Motzei Tisha B'Av? Probably sleeping, starke headache. I will tell you that, I said this before, but I'll say it again. My father is a huge masman, huge. And he was by us in Lincolnwood in Chicago back in the day for a few months. And Tisha B'Av came, and I was sleeping. I was sleeping. Now, came Motzei Tisha B'Av, I couldn't sleep. Just that much. So 4 in the morning, I roll into my basement. I don't know what. Okay, I had to go to my basement. I go to my basement, and my father's in the corner learning, like in a corner, just learning by himself in a corner. Hello, what's going on? It's 4. He said, it's Motzei Tisha B'Av. I have all these chayvas. He couldn't learn. He has to do 7 half a day and all that other stuff. So he's learning like a machine. All right. Kamash Malon says the Gemara, Meisvei. You got to learn in a corner. Nah, I'm just saying. He's going to learn in the middle of the basement? He found himself a corner. Learn. Meisvei, I was saying that it's not for show. It's not so somebody will see. He's in Chicago. There's no people there anyway. But even in Chicago, he didn't go to a show. He was in the basement. If you hang the tzitzis and you don't cut the strings, psulin. My love, psulim lo'ilam. It seems like, not like we said you could just snip in its kosher. It seems like it's possible forever. Utu to the Rav, and it'll be a kasha Rav, because Rav says all you need to do is snip and cut. And whenever you do that, that's a new schachas, it's brand new. All it means is not that it's puzzle, because you hear the kasha. The word puzzle is a little strange. Puzzle means it's puzzle forever. Because if there's a way out of it, so just say, instead of saying the word puzzle, which is very strong, say, cut it. Say the eitzah. Why are you telling me puzzle? It's very easy. Yeah? Like in the beginning of the Sechta. So, like with the Mavin, I think that's the pshat. But okay, he'll be doichak. Rav was doichak. He said, no, it says puzzle, it doesn't really mean puzzle. You could snip. Shmuel amar psulim lo'ilam. Shmuel says there's no way out of it. It's always puzzle. V'chein amar levi psulim lo'ilam. V'chein amar masna. This is Daf Yomi Magichir's dream. V'chein amar masna Shmuel psulim lo'ilam. Wow. Three lines here. I didn't have to prepare. So some say a little different. Not that he passes like that, but he Maisa Shahaya. But did he have a uvda? I had a story with myself that I had tzitzis that we forgot to snip them. Shmuel, and we went to Shmuel. There's nothing you could do. You can't cut it now and say, psikosan zuasiyasan. It's too late. Meisvei, and now we have a question on Rav. Don't be confused there. We're not talking about Shmuel now. We're going back to Rav. Rav says that if you snip it, it's good. Meisvei have a kashet. It says mefurish that if you cut it afterwards, the tzitzis, they remain possible. So that's kasha number one. It says in the pasuk, tasa, sukkahs tasa. You should make sukkahs. But when you make them, they are kosher sukkahs. Not from something that's already made, like that gadish, like that pile of hay. Our Mishnah, but it is in the Brisa. If you have vines, and you added tzchach, psula. What's the case? If he didn't cut it, so this has nothing to do with the halacha that you created something after it was possible. Typically, for another reason, the mechubar ninu. This is terrible tzchach because it's attached to the ground. Ella b'shikitzatzon. He already snipped it. So the problem is not mechubar. The problem is viktani psula ushmamina the lamrina ktzitzas zuasiyasan. It says mefurish in the brisa that even though you snipped it, you have to say you snipped it because if you didn't snip it, it's mechubar. So we're not talking about mechubar here. We're talking about tasav leminasi. And we're saying something else, that even though it's snipped, it's not good enough. Rav says that all you need to do is cut it on the bottom and it becomes beautiful kosher schach. V'tiyuf to the Rav. Interesting answer. There's cutting. You could cut a vine and then it breaks away and it falls to the side and everybody sees that it's cut. But there's something similar called shalfinu shalufe. You sit there, when you take a branch and you try to break it off, it takes forever and never breaks really. And finally you get it, it breaks. So the Gemara understands that it stays right there. It didn't cut and fly to the side. It's not attached, but it's still next to each other. So the problem is a different problem. The minkara, I see what they do. Other people, they walk by, they don't see that you actually created nuschach. They think that it's still attached because it's right there. But nevertheless, we still remain with one bam kash on Rav that says mefurish that if you hang your tzitzis and then you cut them, it's no good forever like Shmuel, and it's a kasha on Rav. And the Gemara says, in fact, kasha. Why is it a kasha, not a tiyufta? They talk about it, but again, from a kasha start finish, right? But the Gemara says kasha. Okay. A second ago we said tiyufta, and now we're saying kasha. Maybe Rav and Shmuel, who are Amoraim Betzim, they have the same machlokes like the Tanoim before them. It says, Avar v'liktam pasel. We're talking about hadassim. Hadassim have like these little balls. What do they call them? Like the something. Grapes? Grapes, anavim. Okay, anavim. If there are more grapes than leaves, then it's possible. But there's a way out of it. You could remove the grapes. Remove all that stuff before Yontif. Berries. Berries. The Gemara, I think, calls them grapes. Okay, in English, the berries. Good. I like berries better. He's right. Stomach berries. Hold on a second. What are they? Berries. The new guy says berries. He's good. He's the guy from the void. Okay, so you take off the berries and it's all good. It's all good. It's the way we do it. We mavayish the new guy and then he doesn't come back. So, but you're not allowed to do it. You're not allowed to do it on Yontif. Why are you not allowed to do it on Yontif? Because you're misakim mana. You're fixing your adas. You have a broken adas that you can't use because there's way too many berries, and you yank them off on Yontif. You're creating a new adas. So you're not allowed to do it on. What if this guy is a tremendous Rosh tzaddik? He needs his adas. He's going to do anything he can do to have an adas, including b'mchal Yontif. All our velikton puzzle. We don't allow him to use it. And Chacham says kosher. So now we have three options here. I don't remember what they are about peh. We have a shaila if a lulav needs an eged, machloikis. There's three ways to learn this machloikis. I'm just going to throw it out here. I don't know them. I'll just throw at least one. Machloikis is the ktsitza that we're learning now. Removing the berries. Is that what creates the hadas? That's one way to learn the machloikis. Or the machloikis is, do we learn lulav from sukkah? Sukkah, we know that there's a problem of tasav and asui, so do we have the same problem by lulav? Or the question is, do we need an eged? Do you need to have everything together in your lulav? You need the lulav, hadas, and arava. Is that a chiyuv? Is that something that we learn from Korban Pesach? And actually you need that? That's the machloikis. Three ways to learn this idea. One of them has to do with our sugya. The question is ktzitzas and zuasiyasan, by removing the berry, I just created an hadas. And that's the question. Is that okay or not? So perhaps that's the machlokes. Now, because I just told you that there's two other ways to learn the machlokes, so that's the obvious answer. You want to say that perhaps the machlokes Rav and Shmuel, cutting tzitzis, cutting a vine that creates the tzitzis, that creates the vine, so removing the berry that creates hadas. The Gemara says no. There's another way to learn the machlokes here. Maybe the machlokes is, do you even need to put the hadas together with the arava? Okay, so that's the sugi here, the next 10 lines. So we start like this. Savrua, smack in the middle of the page. So we're going to start off saying that everybody, that's a given, that you have to have an eged with your lulav. What's an eged? Like we do today, we take the kaishalach, we take the adasim, the aravas, and we put it together with the lulav. So that's a given. Let's say that's a given. V'alfinon, and not only that, we learn lulav misukkah. And we learn the idea of tasvalim and asui, that you cannot put a broken hadas together and then make it kosher. When you put the hadas into the kaishala, it has to be kosher already. So I learn a lulav from sukkah, right? Talking about sukkahs. So therefore, what would be the machlokes? The one that says that this kind of hadas is kosher, so if I put my hadas into my koshel and it has a ton of berries, it's not a big deal. You know why? Because when I remove the berries, I created hadas, and it's beautiful. Now I have hadas and a rav and a lulav. That it doesn't work by a vine, and therefore, and therefore it doesn't work by a lulav. So what you did was you put a non-kosher hadas into your koshela, and that's it. You're stuck. For the rest of the sukkah, you can do whatever you want. You can remove as many berries as you want, but when you put it in, carving out a void in a pile of hay, it doesn't work. Once it's there, you can't make a sukkah. So once the hadas is there, I can't pull off the berries. Loi. So Menachem, I have a machlokes tanaim, just like the machlokes of Rav and Shmuel. Says Gemara, no, you're not forced to say that that's the machlokes, because I could, if I want, I could say the machlokes is something else. It could be everybody agrees by sukkah. You don't say by sukkah. Everybody agrees like Shmuel. It doesn't work to cut the vine. And Memela, it won't work to cut the berries off. So what is the machlokes by hadas with a lot of berries? Can I learn, is there an isser of tasalim and asui? There's no problem of tasalim and asui. You could put a pasal of hadas in the kaishalach, and it's fine. Whatever happens, happens. You don't have to start off with a kosher thing. Uman the pasal and the one that says it is pasal, it's just like a sukkah. Just like a sukkah, you cannot be chayted begadish. So too, by lulav, you can't put a pasal hadas into the eged and then make it kosher. And another way to learn it is if you hold that a lulav needs this eged, fine. But here the machlokes is: does a lulav require a kaishala? Not a kaishla, but I'm just saying. What? Kaishiklach. Kaishiklach. I'm going to get, thanks. Now all those guys that started writing the email, stop. It's kaishiklach. Okay, got it. Even the Hebrew words I have a problem with. Oh, it's Yiddish. How do you know what you made them? You sold them? No? A little bit. Yeah, okay, he has experience. By the way, I was once walking in Borough Park, and a kid came over to me and asked me if I want to buy his koshiklach. It was the most amazing koshiklach ever, and I bought it. And I have it, and I never found the same thing. It's gorgeous. It's this whole intricate thing. I look every year. I want to renew mine. Mine is 15 years old. The same koshiklach. It's you saw mine? Each hadas goes in a special place, and each thing it's like. That's why I said it. I'm hint. No. I'm kidding. I have a beautiful one. What? No, he doesn't sell kosher. He sells the $1 one. Forget it. Don't get it. Well, look at the Tanoi. The Sanya. Okay, so here's the machlokes. 2 lines and that's it. We're done with this one. Lulav bein agud bein she'eni agud kosher. The Tanakama holds it doesn't matter. You don't have to take the adasim and the aravas and put them together. It's still kosher. Agud kosher she'eni agud pasul. It needs to be in one. The lulav, adasim, and aravas need to be together, tied together. My time at the Rabbi Yehuda, yolef lekicha ma'agudas ezav. He learns it from Korban Pesach. They together with the Korban Pesach, there was agudas ezav. They had this thing, this bunch of these leaves, ezav leaves. So that's called Gzeir Shava. It says over there Elchanan. It says over there Elchanan. So we learn the same one from the other. Malalam Baguda, just like by Pesach, it was in a bundle. Avkan, by Lulav, Nami Baguda, has to be together in a Koshiklach. V'Rabbanon, Lekicha, Melekicha, Lo Yalfinon. They don't learn out the word Lekicha, Melekicha. Why not? So for this, we must see Rashi, beautiful Rashi, important for all of Shas. Dibra Maskil, Lo Yalfinon. Loi Lemdua. They never learned it. And if you don't learn Gzeir Shava, you cannot just make Gzeir Shava out of your boich. It doesn't work like that. It's not a kavachaymer. A person cannot make up Gzeir Shava. The only way you could say Gzeir Shava is if you heard it from Moshe Rabbeinu directly. The lekachtim that they had, maybe it was never said on Har Sinai for Gzeir Shava. We never heard that. Not pshat. We don't like it. We never heard it. There's nothing we can do about it. If we didn't hear, then you could say Gzeir Shava from today to tomorrow. I can't help you. But we have a big problem. It says lulav mitzvah logdoi v'lo ogdoi kosher. There's a big mitzvah to do a neged, to buy a nice kosher cloth from a kid on 13th Avenue and put it together. It's a mitzvah. V'lo ogdoi kosher. If you don't do it, it's kosher. It doesn't fit into anything we've learned. Rabbi Yehuda, if this goes according to Rabbi Yehuda, kilog damai kosher. Rabbi Yehuda says it's a chiyuv. It's not a mitzvah. You have to. Rabbanon amai mitzvah. And if it goes according to Rabbanon, they say you don't have to. So if you don't have to, how are you making a mitzvah if you don't have to? Says the Gemara, amazing thing. Lo ilon rabbanani. Umishum shenemar is a keli vanveyu. There's a special idea in all of mitzvahs. A keli vanveyu. It's not lefon of the mitzvahs. You should beautify mitzvahs. Even though you don't have a chiyuv, try to make the mitzvah better. I said yesterday, if you weren't here yesterday and you're not going to stay for this year, I'll just repeat that the Seder Hayoim, who's a Rishon, says that you're supposed to be medaktik in mitzvahs and make the mitzvahs beautiful. And he says, this is the ikr b'chol ha-mitzvahs, the ikr. Anytime you have a mitzvah, there's an inyan to beautify the mitzvah. And he says that there's a special schar. He says, you should be happy. I don't think I said on Shabbos. You should be happy and besimcha. And there's a schar noisaf alzeh. And I said also on Shabbos, and I might even say again, I ate by Mendel on Shabbos, and the son said, but why do you spend so much money on your wine for Shabbos? I don't understand the inyan. So I didn't answer him right away. I said I started answering, then Mendel said another Devora Faige, another one. So he kept on saying, no, but when are you going to tell me? So I told him this Seder Hayoim, Zerishon. If that's what you like, that's the way you beautify Shabbos. For me at least. Nicer wine, a nicer this, and I said, Zehu inyan kol mitzvahs. In every mitzvah you can do, you can be yotzei. There's a lot of people that go to the store, a lot of people. They say, give me a set of lulav and esrog, and for $22, they get a nice esrog that has like 16 bletlach and a little bit worse than bletlach, and this, and the lulav is a niktam, azay, and it's open only like a tefach, and they take it, and they are the yaitza, maybe, I guess, the yaitza. But they're the yaitza. We don't come to live our life to be yaitza. We come to beautify the mitzvahs, make the mitzvahs beautiful. Have a wonderful day, evening.